if you cool the metal very fast, from liquid temperature, then what is happening? So some properties like brittleness, hardness, so those properties will be associated with fast cooling, very rapid cooling. And what happens sometimes, very slowly cooling from liquid metal. Then some other properties like ductility, some properties are going to imparted into the material structure. So therefore, different cooling rates will bring different properties to the material. So therefore, how exactly the solidification process, whether it should be a slow cooling, fast cooling. So like that, in material science, I think all of you have completed material science in your 3rd semester. There you have studied about the solidification process. There you might have studied about nucleation, stages of solidification. First, what happens during the liquid metal cools or solids solidifies. During that, the first stage, what happens? First stage, nucleation takes place. Then what happens? Growth takes place. Nucleation, growth takes place. So different types of solidification, homogeneous nucleation and heterogeneous nucleation. All these things you have studied in your 3rd semester subject, material science. So that knowledge is very useful in understanding this chapter. Okay, solidification process, definition, what is the meaning of solidification, what is nucleation, what is growth, and then what are the different structures we obtain during solidification. All these things you will be learning in this solidification process. Very importantly, you will learn about directional solidification. What is the meaning of directional solidification? You can see this word, directional solidification. What is directional solidification? You can see, just I will show you the video. Or you can see this. You can see this directional solidification video. How exactly, what is the meaning of directional solidification? How to obtain those things you can see. Directional solidification, 1 minute. This one. You can see here, directional solidification means the solidification, this gray color, this is the entire structure is the metal. Okay. Here, see this gray color, dark gray color, it is the metal which was solidified. And this is the white shade, it is the liquid metal. So, what is the meaning of directional solidification? Means the metal becomes solid from the last corner. From the last corner, this corner or from this end, it progressively solidifies. And which is the last part to solidify? Last part to solidify is this part. This where I am moving this cursor. This part would be the last part to solidify. This is called directional solidification. Why? Means if the solidification takes place in the beginning itself, at the entrance, this is the entrance. This part is the entrance of the mold. If the solidification takes place at this stage, so then this part, the liquid metal, it will not reach properly, then no proper filling of the cavity takes place. Therefore, from the last section, the metal should solidify. That is called as the directional solidification. We can achieve this directional solidification by different methods that we will discuss in this chapter. Okay, there are two types: directional solidification and progressive solidification is there. This is one more method of solidification. We will be learning all these things in due course of time in that particular chapter. And very important, next one is, you can see, degasification in liquid metals. You are in this chapter you are going to learn about degasification. What is the meaning of degasification? Gasification means what? Gasification, gasify. Gasify means we are going, the liquid metal, it has absorbed the gas. When we are melting the solid metal, it becomes liquid metal inside the furnace. When it becomes liquid at higher temperature, it will get the tendency, or it will get the ability to absorb the atmospheric atmospheric gases. So therefore, the liquid metal, it contains the gases which are dissolved. So liquid metal contains dissolved gases. These dissolved gases are harmful for the material properties. Therefore, we need to remove the dissolved gases from the liquid metal. Then that process, we call it as degasification. But there are different techniques. There are different techniques to remove the gas from the liquid metal. So that is called as degasification technique. Okay, degasification in liquid metals. So here, different methods of degasification we will learn. And next topic is fettling and cleaning of castings. What is the meaning of fettling? Fettling and cleaning. Once the liquid metal becomes solid metal, it contains lot of surface impurities. Surface is not clear. It is not the ready to use finally. Surface of the material, it is not ready actually, not ready to use in the machines. Any product we manufacture, so that is not fully ready to use. Therefore, it has to be further cleaned. That cleaning process is called as fettling. Fettling. So after taking the casting from the sand, so it contains sand particles, it contains extra projection, it contains so many burrs. Burr. What is the meaning of burr? We will study all those things. So these unwanted parts are to be removed properly from the casting. That removal process is called as fettling. So we are going to clean the casting with the help of various techniques. So those techniques we are going to learn. Basic steps involved, sand casting, and mainly here we are going to study about the defects in casting. Defects in casting. What do you mean by defects in casting? Any casting produced will have its own defects. Shrinkage defect, cracks will be there, inclusion will be there, foreign particles will be there. So those defects in casting reduces the strength of the material. So we cannot expect the long life from such defective products. Therefore, we have to check whether the material is having defect or not. And if there are defects, we have to identify the reasons why this defect has come. Inclusion, crack, or anything, any type of defect, why that defect has come into the material. That we have to understand. We have to remove those defects from the parts before using it in the machines. Otherwise, what happens if you use the defective product itself in the machine as a machine part, then what happens? It will lead to failure of entire machinery. For example, a defective shaft you are using in a machine, then what happens? Defective part, defective shaft, or defective gear, etc. if you use, then it will damage the whole system. Therefore, before using any part in the machine structure, we have to ensure that it is defect free. That part, every part is defect free, so that entire machine runs smoothly for a long period of time. So therefore, about the casting defects and why they are occurring. All those things we have to understand in this topic. So this is about the ferrous industry or ferrous foundry. Ferrous foundry means what? So what is the meaning of ferrous? There are two materials classifications. Last semester in the material science you have studied ferrous metal and non-ferrous metal. Ferrous metals means the materials which do have the iron or ferrous as the major constituent. Those materials are called as ferrous materials. What do you mean by non-ferrous materials? Non-ferrous means the materials and alloys, metals and alloys which do not contain or which contain iron which do not contain iron as the major element. Maybe there in small quantities, but majority iron is not there. Iron it may be in the small traces only, very small negligible amount. Okay, so that is that type of elements or metals or and alloys are called as non-ferrous. So up to here we have studied about the ferrous materials. Next we are going to in this topic non-ferrous foundry practice. It means that there will be slight difference between ferrous and non-ferrous because ferrous metal the melting temperature is very high, 1500 degrees centigrade, and non-ferrous melting temperature, for example copper, it is just 1200 degrees centigrade. Aluminium, it is just 650 degrees centigrade. Like that, non-ferrous elements or materials, their melting temperature is lower. So therefore, it is having, we have to practice different types of melting furnace practices, and foundry practice is different compared to ferrous practice. Therefore, we are going to learn what are the different procedures, different types of furnaces, everything we will learn in this topic. Next is module 4. Up to here, module 3, what we are studying is about the foundry, about the melting, about the casting. So only about those things we will be studying entire module 1, module 2, module 3. In the module 4, what we will learn, 4 and 5 totally, both the topics, we will be learning about the welding. All of you know what is the meaning of welding. So before explaining what is welding, just I will show you one welding video, so that you will be one welding robot you see first. Beautiful video you can see and you can understand what is the meaning of welding. After that I will explain about welding. This is welding robot.
ABB is not the first, but we have developed the most outstanding arc welding robot on the market. The IRB 1600 ID, the ultimate arc welding machine.
This is 6-axis welding machine, welding robot.
I've shown you the top 6 sales arguments for the IRB 1600 ID, which are the long life expectancy of the hose package and that it's easy to replace. The IRB 1600 ID has the highest reliability of all process arms on the market, and the slender profile of the robot with hose package makes it possible to have a high robot density on the shop floor, and thus a higher output from the factory. The slender profile and the enlarged work area of Axis 6 ensures excellent accessibility for welding inside narrow places and enables circular welding without interruption or disturbance. The last two arguments on increased accessibility makes the programming time shorter for robot installations with IRB 1600 ID than for other robots in arc welding applications.
See, this is a welding robot. You have seen the robot, 6-axis robot. It can perform operations in 6 different axes. So therefore, 6-axis robot and a very highly advanced robot. After that, you can see one more video. What is the meaning of arc welding? You can see the after seeing these videos, you will be able to understand the welding process. What is the meaning of welding? What are the advantages of welding compared to other manufacturing methods, etc. You will learn.
This welding rod fits into an electrode holder, which is insulated and allows the operator to safely hold the electrode without danger of receiving an electric shock. The rod can be positioned in the holder in a number of different ways, depending on operator preference or the position of the work being welded. When the welding machine is on and the ground clip is connected to the steel table or to the work itself, anything metal on this table is now charged. When the electrode makes contact with the work, it completes a circuit. The electricity flowing through the electrode holder, down through the work, and back out through the ground clamp, back to the welder. When an arc is struck, a common pool of molten metal is created between the two pieces that are being joined. Into this, the melting alloy center of the welding rod is deposited, completing the weld. One thing to be careful of, as you're welding, this rod is being consumed. That is, it's growing shorter. So that the operator has to constantly be aware of both moving the rod laterally, but also pushing the rod into the seam being welded. The first step in learning how to arc weld is learning how to strike the arc. Striking the arc can sometimes be very difficult at first. It's a delicate flicking motion. It's not a stabbing or a quick drag, but as if you're striking a match gently. Once the arc is started, the trick is to maintain a nice smooth molten puddle of metal with a consistent distance between the tip of the welding rod and the surface of the work. All right, let's give it a try. Welding hood's down. Remember, never look at an arc with the naked eye.
This is called arc welding. That is electric arc. Due to high electric current, that arc is produced.
Now that you've mastered striking the arc, and it may have taken you several tries, don't be discouraged. Let's join some metal together. Okay, hood's down. After striking the arc, I create a nice even pool of molten metal. You'll notice that the tip of the welding rod stays very near to the arc puddle, and I'm also slightly wavering the tip of the electrode back and forth.
Temperature at that point is about 3000 to 4000 degrees centigrade.
As the filler rod is being deposited. Once you've completed your arc welded seam, you'll notice that there's a blue-black residue on top of the weld. This residue is a byproduct of the burnt flux. It needs to be cleaned away from the weld. You can do this with a chipping hammer. And
this
wire brush.
After welding, it has to be cleaned like this. So this is about arc welding. And I will show one more to make you understand gas welding. After that, we will go to the topic.
Hey, welcome to the shop. Today I'm going to be going over
This is gas welding. For very thin material, thickness is less, sheet metal and all. For that purpose, we use gas welding.
Hi everyone, today we're going to do some oxygen acetylene welding. Show you how to set up tip cleaning. Acetylene for oxygen, or up you go. Don't ask me why, but it's going to help you remember every single step.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
So before I get started setting up my tanks, I need to make sure that my torch and everything has been set up correctly. We need to make sure that the tip, here, we need to make sure that the tip is clean. Hard to see. We need to make sure the tip is clean. If you do need to clean it, and you can tell once you actually start welding, you can use the tip cleaner. The cleaners look something like this.
This is welding
Right
torch.
side, the one in that hole. First, we're going to do the acetylene first. We're going to open up the main valve here half a turn. So this, when I start, I want it to get here, and then draw a little line. Half a turn. Now, the last person who used this did not purge the valves. Usually, when you get to it, purge that valve for a second. Pressure on my regulator. Nope. This is basically how much fuel is left in the cylinder. This is how much pressure will be coming through. So in order for me to increase pressure coming out of my torch, I'm going to have to adjust the regulator. I'm going to open up the knob on my torch handle with the acetylene or the fuel. It's opened up. Don't worry about how big it is yet. I'm going to adjust the regulator here. Going in plus or minus. Going to plus. And I'm going to increase it to about 6 psi. There we go, we're at 3, 4, 5, 6. You look very closely there. And you can hear acetylene action coming out. Go ahead and turn off your knob. This one is set and ready to go. Next we have our oxygen tank. We need to adjust this till we have between, I'm going to say 5 and 10 psi coming out of this. We're going to open this valve all the way until it stops. We're going to take our torch handle, open up the oxygen, adjust the regulator until we have between 8 and 10 psi. Hard to see the numbers, but we just need that little valve. So just a little bit right there.
This is oxygen cylinder.
So if you look closely, you can see that the needle on the left is just open a little bit. Down on.
When the combined, it is acetylene and oxygen cylinder, both are connected, and then it is started burning. It produces the flame. That flame, it is of 3 types.
Now, if you look at it, it looks like we have 2 different cones here. We've got a very straight one. We have a longer one. Don't try to touch it, but you can get pretty close without the flame. I'm not going to purposely do that though. All right, I'm going to adjust some more oxygen until that one cone is nice and tight. Here's just like set the exposure on the camera down a little bit.
See the flame, how it is coming.
Acetylene, got that. Add your oxygen. There's 2 different colored flames that should come down. Got
by adjusting the oxygen and acetylene gas, we are getting different type of flames.
Great, let's get some welding. So I have my flat bar set up with a very slight gap in between. I want to have a little bit of a gap to allow the metal to penetrate when it gets welded together. I'm going to start by tacking both ends, and then I'm going to do a fusion weld. The tack first. Heat it up, I'm going to hold my torch on about a 45-degree angle, kind of zigzag between the 2 pieces. We'll concentrate on the one area. If this is taking too long, increase the pressure with 1 heat.
What we're looking for is both pieces of metal that's been turned molten. You'll see it start to get shiny on both sides, and then those two shiny parts will join together into one puddle. Back and forth. There we have now a little puddle. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I've dropped the exposure on the cameras to get a better look at what's going on here. So I'm holding my torch on about a 45-degree angle, zigzagging back and forth. I'll hold the torch on the other side so you can see better. I want to get a nice little puddle going. Back and forth between the two. I'm just hovering above the metal. I don't want the torch to actually touch the metal. Notice my puddle should join soon. The two sides are getting molten. I want those two little puddles there to become one. Wait for that moment. Little circles or zigzags. There it is. See that? Now we have a nice little joint. Now that I got my two sides tacked, I'm going to practice laying a fusion weld, which is basically taking that puddle and pushing it down the length of my joint here. Whether you're left-handed or right-handed, it doesn't matter. You've got to find a way that works for you. I'm going to go in this direction and push my puddle. So it's getting shiny. Wait for that puddle to join. There it is. Well, turn off using the acetylene.
So you have seen now the different welding techniques. One welding robot you have seen, and second one had shown the gas welding, and one more arc welding, electric arc welding. These three types. One is actually two types only we have seen. One is arc welding and the other one is gas welding. So one more thing is advanced machinery, advanced machine tool, that is called as welding robot, that you have seen in this. So now after having seen these things, now let us try to go to understand, study about the, or in brief, let us go to discuss about structure welding. So now welding process.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, what's the composition of, in gas welding, what's the composition of gases, sir?
Actually,
I mean, you said that. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. There are three types of welding flames will come.
Okay.
Three types of welding flames are there. One is oxidizing flame. Oxidizing flame means there more percentage of oxygen, less percentage of acetylene gas. Okay, two gases we have to mix. So more percentage of oxygen, less percentage of acetylene, it will give you an oxidizing flame. So that the outcome is short flame. All these things you will study once again. So short flame you will get. One more thing, when more percentage of acetylene, less percentage of oxygen, then you will get oxidizing flame. Sorry, reduction flame. It is called as reduction flame. That is, more acetylene will be there, less oxygen will be there. The length of the flame will be long in that case. Flame length will be longer. One more type of flame, equal percentage of oxygen and acetylene. It is called neutral flame. Okay, neutral flame means in oxidizing flame what happens, more amount of oxygen particles will be released after combustion. In reducing flame, more acetylene is there, so therefore more carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide output will come after flame. Okay, in neutral flame it is just neutral because all the acetylene flame is burnt, all the particles will be burnt with the help of, by taking the oxygen particles, so that at the end of that it is neutral. It is not going to produce any effect. So therefore, while welding steel, different type of flame is used. While welding copper, different type of flame is used. So like that, we are using acetylene flame also for some purpose, welding of hardening of steel. Flame hardening is there. Like the different techniques, different welding flames are used for different purposes. Karthikeyan, Karthikeya, got it?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir. Got it, sir. Got it. Thank you.
So now we have seen different welding techniques. Meantime, now we are going to discuss about this topic. Here in this chapter, we are going to study about module 4, welding process, definition of welding, what is the meaning of welding, principles of welding, types of welding, classification, and applications of welding, where the applications, what are the different uses like that, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of different types of welding. For example, arc welding, gas welding. In arc welding itself, there are different varieties. Metal arc welding, shielded metal arc welding, gas welding. Here, TIG welding and MIG welding, 2 types are there. All these things are there in our TIG welding and MIG welding is there in our college. Okay, that also you can see. Arc welding is there. You can, if you practice all these things in our workshop, then definitely you will be able to understand the concepts more clearly rather than theoretically. Okay, theoretically we will be studying here. Also in the laboratory, you have to practice all these things. Whatever is available, you have to practice. One more type of welding is called as resistance welding. This is electrical welding. Okay, electrical welding. This is also electrical welding only. Arc welding is also electrical welding, and resistance welding is also electrical welding only. So it is a method of producing the heat by means of electrical resistance. So that we will learn. And finally, the gas welding also will be there. Okay. And apart from that regular type of welding, we are going to learn about the laser welding, electron beam welding. So these two are, laser welding and electron beam welding, are non-conventional type of welding. And other types, from here to here, they are conventional type of welding. Conventional means what? The welding practices, we are practicing it from old techniques type of welding. So those are called conventional or traditional type of welding. And non-traditional type of welding, that is newer techniques, latest techniques, they are laser welding and electron beam welding. We will be studying about those topics also in this chapter. Next, if you come to module 5, we will be studying about the metallurgical aspects in welding. So metallurgical aspects in welding means what happens when high heat is supplied. I told you the temperature at the junction of welding, the temperature is 4,000, 5,000 degrees centigrade. Even sometimes big, thicker material, it will reach up to 10,000 degrees centigrade. Very instantly, it will not be there for long time. Very instant, short period of time, short distance, it will be, temperature will be very, very high. And immediately from that 5,000 degrees centigrade, room temperature, it will acquire it, or it will come back to room temperature very short period of time. During this heating and cooling within short period of time, it will create a lot of metallurgical problems. So those things we'll be studying here, metallurgical aspects. Okay, what happens like that. And other method of joining is soldering and brazing. So other than welding, joining methods are soldering and brazing. These two methods are also there. We will be studying those things in this. I think better last class you will be